Rip currents in the world happen right here in Panama City Beach. So before you go and enjoy the beautiful beaches, you should know rip current safety, and that starts right at the beach access with a safety sign. We're going to go over how to spot them, what to do if you see someone in a rip current, and all of the information that could save your life and potentially somebody else's. Want to know what flag is flying? Look at the pole. Whatever flag is up, that corresponds to the flags on the sign. Also, knowing where the closest lifeguard is could save a life. Lifeguards rescue tens of thousands of people from rip currents in the U.S. State College from this. So this is that wind. It's moving ashore now. I can hear it over my head. It's roaring. 71-mile-per-hour winds will do damage. We're going to be talking about Elsa, and no, there will be no Frozen themes to this. I always like to equate tropical systems are a pinball and a massive game, and we're trying to predict about 12 moves from now. So thankfully, we don't have anything Elsa to do about the tropics. Where's my little badumch? We have a special guest, Nick Underwood.
I'm an aerospace engineer for NOAA's Aircraft Operations Center, which you know us better as the NOAA Hurricane Hunters. My job on the aircraft is to link those instruments up with our data systems on board and then actually load them into the ship.
For our third edition of Christmas across the Panhandle, or trying to put you in the holiday spirit, and what better way to do that than show off an incredible display. And not only do we have that tonight, but we also have maybe a little bit of music to go along with it. We might highlight that throughout the show as well. And we're going to talk some weather. This is really the issue when we're talking inches of rain that most people don't understand, and it is that rain adds up. It doesn't take 2 feet of rain to cause flooding. 4 inches of rain, that's what we're averaging down to here. So 4 inches of rain, 27,000 gallons per inch equals 108,000 gallons per acre. 108,000 gallons per acre times 640 acres, that's 69 million gallons per square mile. That's 1 inch of rain. We're not talking, though, that's 4 inches of rain per square mile. So per square mile, you've got 69 million gallons of water falling down. How about across the entirety of Bay County? Because obviously we had rain in more locations than just 1 square mile. Okay, so you got your 69 million gallons times roughly 1,500 square miles. That's equal to roughly 10 quadrillion gallons of water this morning. So that lowest level of your home, most interior room, typically a bathroom or a closet. Take with you Storm Track 13 app on your phone. Make sure you turn the TV up, the volume up, so you can continue to stay in shelter until this does pass. But we've got a tornado imminently developing or already developed right there off of Nightford, Kinesville as well. That goes until 4:30 a.m. around Lake. You're included in that, but I think this is going to be just off to your north. A rotation significant. Certainly could have seen a tornado on the ground earlier. I'm going to zoom back in here and highlight some of these roads. That looks like a tornado. Gilbert's Mill Road, I think we've got a tornado on the ground. I'm going to go back over to CC. Yep, tornado on the ground. This is definitely confirmed now. Tornado on the ground, that is debris being picked up. That is our correlation coefficient. So right there over Gilbert's Mill Road, this is moving toward Alford, Park Road, Cypress Creeks, Archie Sapp Road. If you live on Gilbert's Mill Road, if you live in Kents Mill, you got to be in your shelter. This is no longer an if. That is a tornado on the ground. Gilbert's Mill Road moving toward Alford, moving toward Kinesville. You have to be in your shelter now. Cypress Creek Road, Park Road, you got to be in your shelter. These gusty winds, even as we're speaking. So what we got, 70 miles per hour. We could be seeing this coming down to the surface as well. Our rotational gate to gate coming in around 80 miles per hour, so not as impressive as it once was, but certainly still seeing rotation here. This is strong enough that we could be talking about a tornado back over the open water here, back just off to the south of St. Andrews. Again, this is where Gulf Coast State College is. We could be talking about a waterspout back over the open water just now on the north side of Grand Lagoon and Magnolia Beach. That's where we do have the rotation. So this is Craig Road, and this is, of course, the Hathaway Bridge. And then we've got
Collegiate Drive at where Gulf Coast is, as well as going back up into Pretty Bayou, St. Andrews, West Street, that's 17th Street, back down to 12th Street and Beach Drive. You too should be in your shelter as this storm is continuing off to the north and east. So tornado warning again continues until 6:30. This does include Lynn Haven as well, Diego Park, Highland Park, back up 231. It's not including Bayou George. Panama City, you are under that tornado warning, but I would expect that this moves off to the north and east. So this should move to the north of downtown, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't get into your shelter or be ready to get into your shelter if this does take more of an easterly jog, as there is a potential waterspout once again, now back over St. Andrews Bay, getting ready to move into the St. Andrews area as we speak. So if you're in the St. Andrews area, you should be in your shelter right now. That's the lowest level of your home, most interior room. Put as many walls boundary, and that high pressure system really playing a main role in the forecast, as well as that high pressure system behind me, because that's what's steering it at the moment. That's what's pulling it more off to the north. And today the trend has been north-northwest, and that is key. Instead of northwest, it's been going north-northwest, which is why we have seen that eastward shift, because it's more likely that this cold front is going to collect that system, because we have seen it further off to the east than off to the west. And tonight, watching to see if it moves over the western tip of Cuba or further off to the east. That is influential, because again, we're talking about very marginal aspects here on whether it gets collected by the trough or not collected by the trough. So we're still seeing those kinds of potential impacts here. It is now a Category 2 hurricane. It's pretty well defined at this point in time. It sucked in a little bit of dry air this morning that kept it from rapidly strengthening all day today, but we are starting to see a much tighter model consensus, and you'll note that type grouping. Anytime we're showing spaghetti models like this, you don't ever want to look at one individual line, because one model is never good. All the models are bad, in fact, but they can be useful. And when we're talking about models seeing the same thing, that brings confidence back to the forecast for that area. So this is now centering in anywhere between the GFS and the Euro, but a tight grouping there just to the north of Tampa. An active couple of days with wildfires in the area. Now overnight tonight, our humidity is way up. We've got our dew points back up into the 60s. Temperatures will fall down to the 60s. That's going to lead to foggy conditions, as well as smoke. If you live to the north or north and east of those fires, you've smelled smoke all the way up into even Jackson County today. Even southwest Georgia reporting smoke in the area from our fire here in Bay and Calhoun and Gulf counties. So that mixed with fog is going to lead to poor air quality. The best thing to do is to stay indoors if you are experiencing that smoke. And for fog, poor visibility as we go through the overnight hours into tomorrow morning. Make sure you are aware of that. A chance of a shower or storm tomorrow, but only a 30%. I'm not expecting a ton of rain for our Tuesday. Better rain chances on the way as we get into Wednesday. 75 to 81, a shower or storm, definitely humid, even more so than it was today. The winds are going to be variable. They'll start out of the south, they'll shift to the southwest, and then back to out of the southeast as we start to see air mass come back up. Now the birth of fire, as just explained, expanding on a couple of different fronts here. Today the wind aloft was out of the south and west. The wind at the surface was out of the due south, as you note right here. So that has pushed the fire north, and the smoke has been all to the north and west of the fire. The Broad Branch community has actually been given a voluntary evacuation for that area at this time, thanks to smoke and that fire that has moved slightly off to the east. Zooming in here, evacuation areas still remain the same. County Road 106 up to Scotts Ferry, everything off to the east of 231 to the Calhoun County line. That has been the evacuations. But again, the smoke today has been very, very noticeable, not just right on the fire, but even further out, all the way up into southwest Georgia. There has been smoke reported from that fire. So thankfully, we are seeing rain. We got a frontal boundary that is coming in our direction. Main impact of the weather over the last couple of days, really all this week, has been rain. Temperatures haven't been that big of an issue. We're sitting in the 70s and 80s now, but we do have plenty of rain still out there. And as we go through the rest of this evening, we're going to see a lot of that activity diminish. But overnight tonight, we could see those showers and thunderstorms once again popping up along our coastal areas, holding on to that 50% chance at rain, 76 to 73 for those overnight lows. And for the day tomorrow, we'll climb back up into the mid 80s. Unfortunately, another day where we're talking about an 80% chance of rain across the board. and flash flooding once again a big concern. The reason for the flash flooding is because these showers and thunderstorms are extremely proficient at producing heavy rainfall because there's moisture at the low levels, the mid levels, and the upper levels. It's all thanks to the extra support that is in place, so the shower and thunderstorm activity staying in place. However, as we head into the weekend and beyond, we're going to kick this out. High pressure starts to build over the Gulf of Mexico, and we'll just see onshore flow for much of next week, which means we lose the moisture in the mid and upper levels, but we keep it at the surface. That's much closer to what we usually see during the summer. If you're further off, and now it's confirmed tornado. So what we were just highlighting with the CC, now highlighting, showing confirmed tornado just on the south side of Bonifay. I'm going to draw that back in here. So right here, we now have a confirmed tornado just to the south of Bonifay. This is moving off to the east. So right there, confirmed tornado. So all of those locations, you got to already be in your shelter. Further off to the east, this is 90 going toward Chipley. It's possible that this makes more of a turn off to the north as it gets pulled into the storm. We're at Hurricane Ian, major hurricane. It is a very pretty storm, and anytime we are talking about an asymmetrical, pretty looking storm, it's a bad thing because that means it is a strong, non-tilted storm. We want hurricanes to look ugly, ugly, ugly. There is some good news here, though, is that we are starting to see some dry air effects. You can see the cloud cover kind of disappearing on the west side. That's subsidence. That's dry air. So dry air is starting to sneak into the western side. There's certainly hope that dry air kind of cuts into the mid-level and gets ingested into the core. That would keep this from strengthening a whole bunch further, but we certainly do have the possibility of more strengthening. In fact, the forecast is for that to continue to happen as it should go from a Category 3 up to a Category 4, making landfall some point in time through the day tomorrow between Fort Myers and up to Tampa, possibly even shifting a little further off to the south. It might be a little further to the south of Fort Myers, Cape Coral area. Then going across the state very slowly, and that is going to have big rain implications, but notice just how far to the east it is now of the Panhandle, which means our rainfall totals, they're going to be very, very low. In fact, this is showing the rainfall forecast through Thursday, through Friday, and oh, here comes a little bit of rain. This is producing very good. The north-northwest at 10 miles per hour, now a Category 1. You can see this is a very large storm. It is embedded in a gyre, so we're expecting this to maintain and be very broad as it continues to work off. Eventually, we're going to get a turn more to the north and then north-northeast. You can see it following the flow here, so it's going to follow right along that trough axis, basically where we have the convection on the east side of Franklin County. Note all of the hurricane models basically in Franklin County, just a couple on the west side of Franklin County as well, but the tightest grouping right there. So we're probably actually going to see a slight shift off to the east in the modeling as we go into the evening, but really haven't seen a whole lot of shifting today as far as the forecast goes. Just a slight shift off to the west by about 10 miles from where we were last night and as far as the cone. So the forecast hasn't changed a whole lot. We'll work quickly up to Atlanta and then sit and spin from there. Here is the latest cone and advisory. Landfall around 7 p.m. on Thursday Central Time across our area. That means most of our area is on the western side of the storm. That is the good side of the storm. It's the side that does not have to deal with tornadoes. Unfortunately, this time around with a trough embedded in place, we're likely going to be talking about very heavy rain and already have it out there. Flash flood warnings for Gulf southern portions of Liberty County as well as Franklin County, and that is the trough axis. You can see it streaming right there. So just go on the east side of where our trough is, and that's where the storm is going. We don't have to guess at it this time. It's attached to that trough. It's going to be following along. If you're watching it and you're keeping a close eye, it's going to look like it's headed right toward us all day tomorrow. But as it embeds into that trough, we'll start to get just a slight nudge. So by 6 a.m., note the heavy rain working across our area. That's going to continue. The worst weather happens after 1 o'clock. We'll see that trough axis inverted across our area, bringing very heavy rainfall from Port St. Joe, Apalachicola, all the way up to Eufaula, even up into North Georgia. There's the core of the storm. Should be basically central portions of Franklin County and off to the east that see the worst weather, just scraping the eastern portions of Liberty County and basically going right through Tallahassee and then up to Albany from there. rolling through Atlanta, which could still see tropical storm type of conditions in Atlanta as well. And for that reason, hurricane warnings for Liberty, Calhoun, Jackson, as well as Gulf and Franklin. Tropical storm warnings for Bay, Washington, Holmes, and Walton counties. That is for winds potentially as high as 70 miles an hour, but will likely stay underneath that in those areas. A flood watch extends across the entirety of the area, as well as that storm surge 5 to 9 feet in Franklin County, much higher up into the bend on the east side of the storm. Checking out those winds as they work in, increasing through the day on Thursday. Note where the core is again. Strongest winds right onto Franklin County, extending up into Tallahassee, and then even could see hurricane type gusts all the way up to Albany, with tropical storm conditions continuing all the way up into South and North Carolina with this storm as it quickly moves inland. So what does that mean for our forecast? Well, major hurricane conditions across the central and eastern portions of Franklin County. Hurricane conditions possible across the entirety of Franklin County, southern Gulf County, and eastern portions of Liberty County, as well as Jackson. Could see those gusts upwards of 70 miles per hour. Bluntstown, Mariana, and Panama City, you're probably seeing the winds at most climb up to about 50, 55, maybe gust as high as 60. But in general, most of our area is dealing with just tropical storm force winds and storm force gusts until you get down into Gulf, southern Liberty, and Franklin County, where the worst of the weather will be. So overall for our area, even though it's going to be windy, not going to be a major wind event outside of Franklin County and maybe portions of Liberty County, but this could be a very substantial rain event, and that is the concern with heavy rain and flash flooding as a possibility. We'll, of course, continue to update you. We'll have cut-ins on the hour at the top of every hour as we go forward, getting ready for this storm. You can check in the 5, 6, and 10 o'clock newscast tonight as well. 71-mile-per-hour winds reported at Gulf Coast State College. 71, let me say that again, 71-mile-per-hour winds reported at Gulf Coast. Still dealing with a flash flood warning in northern Jackson County as well as Holmes County. That goes until 11:15, but you'll notice all of the counties in green still highlighting flood warnings across the area. Thankfully, Fred now out of the Panhandle and into southern Alabama. It is still a tropical storm at this point in time. And just to reiterate, it came in as a 65-mile-per-hour tropical storm, so that's only a few miles per hour off of a hurricane. And it did make landfall Cape San Blas about 2:15 storm.
Eventually end up being rated as maybe even a Category 1 hurricane. I just don't think that many of us are going to see that extreme of winds. Isolated areas, sure, could see some big-time wind gusts out of this, but for the most part, all of us are going to see rain, very heavy rain, and the possibility of isolated tornadoes.
Core of the storm working from Cape San Blas across Gulf County into Calhoun County and then up into Jackson County. That is right where the center of the storm did move. And obviously we saw some very strong wind gusts out of that as well. How about the rainfall totals? Anywhere from Vernon all the way to Southport, seeing anything from 6 to 10 inches of rain. So greater than 6 inches of rain up to 10, where you see the purple, back up to Lynn Haven to Bayou George. 5 tropics, well, Larry all the way up to a Category 3, so still at that name. The next name system would be Mindy, and the only area of disturbance out there worth watching is the one in the Gulf of Mexico. They are giving it a 40% chance of developing. You can see the well-defined eye on Larry, 70 miles wide, the eye in Larry. So a very, very big storm there. For us, we're watching this very disorganized area of shower activity across the Gulf of Mexico. The center is actually right there, and you'll notice if you look at the cloud cover down here just how strong the shear is out of the west. It's moving off to the northeast at 21 miles an hour, max winds at 45 miles per hour, minimum pressure around 1,004 millibars. And again, by 1 a.m., this is going to be over Tallahassee. We'll be on the west side, on the dry side of the system, so we'll be clear of the rain. As it moves into the Atlantic, turns back into a depression, then a remnant low as we go on forward. So most of what you've had today, that's about the worst you're going to get from Mindy. Still do have some thunderstorms that are working ashore, mostly stable air over the Panhandle, the heaviest of rain from Mariana down to Panama City. But as you get into Walton and Okaloosa County, dry air already chipping away at the backside. And with that rotation moving over the forgotten coastline, it's likely that rain wraps up there pretty quickly, and you'll see the center right there. Nice little tight circulation. And again, winds right around the center could be up to 45, maybe some gusts up to 50 miles per hour, certainly possible. And that's going to be for our coastal areas of Gulf County as well as Franklin County. Actually, thanks to the tropics here, this now given a 70% chance of developing. The biggest issue with this system is going to be heavy rain. Likely does become a tropical storm or depression. If it is named, the next name would be Nicholas. Of course, we just had Mindy here, but that name would be Nicholas. Here's the latest look on Nicholas as it is approaching the shoreline. Just a tropical storm here, southwest shear doing its job, keeping it from really developing. But it is moving off to the north-northeast at 12 miles an hour. It is close to hurricane status. Max winds at 65 miles per hour. Minimum pressure, though, only down to 1,001 millibars. As we go through the next couple of days, again, slow mover here. It's going to hug the coastline and eventually together, and seeing it press on through should make its way in by about 8, 9, 10 o'clock this evening. Through the day tomorrow, influences from the upper level low mostly gone, but from our overall pattern with the wind out of the east and Ida off to our south, this is where we're going to start to see the influences. Over the next several days, coastal areas are going to have a much greater chance of rain than our inland areas just by the dynamics of where the system are going and how that's all going to play out. So if you're near the coast, you're probably going to see a better chance of rain not only for your Saturday, but again on Sunday as that banding kind of flirts with the area. And again here, we're going to be so far away from the center of circulation, I really don't see us having a severe threat. Now, that might materialize. We really don't know until we get into that situation. So for our Sunday, possibly even Monday and Tuesday, you want to pay attention to the weather. I think the threat is low as of now, but certainly can materialize. So we definitely want to pay attention to that. Shower and thunderstorm activity works its way on through on Sunday. And again, that will be the outer banding. But notice by Monday, as that storm is really off to our west, not a whole lot going on here by our futurecast. And I don't expect that we're going to see much other than that scattered shower and thunderstorm activity. And of course, surf. This is where Hurricane Ida is now. It's just past the Isle of Youth, getting ready to cross over Cuba. Will do so tonight. So I don't expect we're going to see much in the way of strengthening overnight tonight as this does progress across the western tip of Cuba. It's moving off to the northwest at 15 miles an hour, max winds at 80, and minimum pressure all the way down to 985. That is much, much stronger than even the strongest hurricane models suggested at this point in time. So the National Hurricane Center has responded, now expecting to be a Category 4 by 1 o'clock on Sunday at 140 miles an hour. Remember, Category 5 is 157. So I wouldn't be surprised. This certainly has the environment to be able to push to that strength. So it is possible that this makes it all the way. Once again, very strong hook, echo, and couplet, velocity couplet here. Likely, once again, looking at a strengthening tornado as this storm has cycled. So again, confirmed tornado on the ground right here. Again, this is right on the northern edge of Deer Point Lake here. So right on the northern edge, eastern portions of Deer Point Lake, headed up County Road 2301 toward the Bennett area, probably on the east side of the Bennett area, anywhere back over toward Gaynor Road and then back up toward Econfina. So in those areas, I'd be seeking shelter, especially on the east side of Econfina. So Bennett, Econfina, Deer Point Lake, there is a tornado happening right over Deer Point Lake right now on the north and eastern portions, as that is a confirmed tornado right there where you're seeing that. That's got to be an old velocity couplet there, but that's a tornado right there. Again, this is paralleling County Road 2301 heading toward the Bennett area. You can kind of see how this is occluded out. This could kind of hook itself and curve itself in. I would take more of a north track. If it takes more of an east track, this could end up toward the Saunders area between Youngstown and Saunders, and eventually this could head up toward the Fountain area. So all of those locations should be getting in your shelter now. Again, if you're in the Fountain area, if you're in the Saunders area, there's a tornado on the ground. You probably have 5 to 10 minutes. If you're in a mobile or manufactured home, you got to seek shelter elsewhere. right now. This tornado will disintegrate mobile homes. So I'm not giving you an option. If you're in a mobile home and you get hit by that tornado, the likelihood that you survive is extremely low. Get out, find better shelter, you have 5 to 10 minutes to do so if you're in the Fountain area or the Saunders area. If you're in Econfina or you're back over toward the Bennett, Youngstown area, you're out of time. You need to be seeking shelter now, especially on this road here, 2301, going back over toward Bennett and then back up toward the Econfina. So tornado on the very northern portion of Deer Point right now. I'm going to zoom in, try to populate some of these roads, but it's basically paralleling this county road here that's moving off on the north side of Deer Point Lake. So that's the very northern tip of Deer Point Lake there, and this is moving off, basically paralleling this road as it does continue to move off to the north and east. But that is a confirmed tornado that's happening again right here, moving pretty quickly off to the north and east. So Bennett, this will be over you very quickly, back over toward, and there it is. So new update here, 5 minutes each at a time. So I said you had 10 minutes if you're in the Fountain area. You're out of time now in the Bennett and Econfina area. Gaynor Road, you need to be in your shelter now. You got a tornado that's happening over you right now. A tornado is happening right now over the Bennett, Econfina, back over toward Gaynor Road, State Highway 20. This is headed up again into the Fountain area, eventually Silver Lake Road, Alex Drive, Weber Road. If you're in the Fountain area and any form or capacity near the downtown Fountain location, right there on 231 between State Highway 20 and 231, you need to be in your shelter now. This is going to be on the west side of Fountain, moving potentially directly over Fountain as this does continue off to the east-northeast. But a confirmed tornado right there to the south of the Bennett area, moving up toward Fountain. Right there where you're seeing that big CC dropout, that is debris being lofted up into the air. So this is a tornado on the ground to the south of Bennett, moving up toward the Saunders and Fountain area. That will be happening in about 5 to 10 minutes. You got less than 10 minutes if you're in the Fountain area. You got to be in your shelter now. You have a tornado on the ground off to your south and west. This is moving directly over the Bennett area here very, very shortly, if not already occurring. Strong tornado potentially on the ground to the south of Graceville here, moving into the Graceville area. Headed up toward Brownstown as well as into Houston County, eventually on the south side of Dothan, but right around Graceville as we speak. Tornado right there, big debris ball showing up on radar. Very strong tornado potentially on the ground here, just off to the south of Graceville. So right here on Cotton Street, Spruce Road, Piano Road, that's where we do have the tornado. This will be moving toward Browntown, just on the south side of Graceville, Collins Mill Road, Izell Road. Any areas here from White Avenue back over to State Highway 2, County Road 193. If you're near the Browntown area, you need to be in your shelter. Cloverdale Road, it's probably right over you right now. Strong tornado on the ground, producing damage. That's what we're seeing here. Moving over Cotton Street, headed up toward Everett Road. That's headed towards Smoky Road, County Road 193, Browntown. And then if you're watching on the other side of the Florida-Alabama line, St. Stephen's Road, Southern Junction, as well as Garnett's Crossing, and then Madrid and Rambo. Amy Road, which is the road right there on the Florida-Alabama border. That's where this is headed. Again, seeing the expanding debris on the CC here doesn't mean a larger tornado. It just means that it's picking up more debris. So this is causing damage on the south side of Graceville. Tornado on the ground, confirmed tornado right here just to the south of Graceville. This will be moving on the east side of Graceville toward Browntown and eventually towards Southern Junction, between Southern Junction and Rambo, as well as up toward Madrid. That is into Alabama here, but tornado on the ground just to the south of Graceville as we speak. And again, looking further down the line, this thunderstorm doesn't look as developed as it once did. Seeing the line here, a nice little Boeing segment heading down 388, another Boeing segment headed into downtown, and then a little kink offshore. So we'll keep a close eye on that. That could be tornado warned here relatively shortly. That would be the west end of Tyndall, as well as coming in toward the Cove, potentially into downtown too. So keeping a close eye on that. Kristen, flag me if that one gets tornado warned. But overall, the main concern right now is the tornado that is happening over Graceville at the moment. Again, strong CC dropout, likely strong tornado ongoing to the south of Graceville. Right now, this is moving toward Brownstown. I'm going to go over to the Dothan radar here and see if we can't get another view of this. That's looking through the storm, so it's kind of hard to see, but right over Graceville potentially based on the Dothan radar, and then going back over to EVX here might have the best view. It looks just off on the east side of Graceville here, back over County Road 193. This is a significant strong tornado on the ground near Graceville at the moment. This is a confirmed strong tornado, likely over Pineywood Road, headed toward Rambo. Again, this is going to be headed in that direction. This is where we have the tornado right now. This is going to be moving in that direction across Amy Road, Browntown. You need to be in your shelter now.
Checking out the latest with Hurricane Helene here, moving off to